Hello race fans, welcome to another video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on future uploads. Currently on the road to 1K before the end of the year, so if you like my content, make sure to show your support. Today we will be talking about the Truck Series race at Nashville, and honestly this was just another race for the most part. Not much happened that really stood out to me other than the finish of the race, and we will get to that, but for most of the way it looked like Corey Heim was in control of it, as always. Started from the pole because qualifying was cancelled due to a small rain shower, but I'm pretty confident he would have won the pole anyways because he was fastest in practice by a pretty decent margin, and not just in the short run but in the long run as well. That being said, it wasn't smooth sailing for the driver of the 11. There were two other guys he had to worry about in Rajah Caruth and Lane Riggs. Thing was, however, and the reason why I say it felt like the 11 was in control most of the way, was because he had both the track position and the long run speed, whereas the other two had one or the other. Lane Riggs had the long run speed to match Heim, and he even won stage 1 over him. But his pit crew screwed him over not once but twice. Rajah, on the other hand, he didn't quite have the long run speed, but the pit crew gave him track position, beating the 11 off pit road on both of their pit stops. And track position was very important in this race, believe me. It was really hard to pass at Nashville. Dirty air played a big role, and I mean big, to the point the leaders were struggling to pass lap traffic even outside the top 20. I mean, there was a moment at the end of stage 1 where Lane Riggs was trying to pass the lap truck of Kyle Busch, and the reason he was that far behind, I'm talking of Kyle of course, was because of a restart violation, and he had to serve his penalty under green. And Lane Riggs, he was just unable to pass him, partially because it's Kyle Busch, although to be fair, he just didn't have the truck. I don't think I saw Kyle run a single lap inside the top 10, as a matter of fact, which is extremely rare for his Truck Series standards, by the way. He was just running around mid-pack the entire race. And that almost cost the driver of the 34 the stage win because Corey Heim quickly closed in. Like I said though, he was still able to get stage 1 win away. And it would have been a race between those two for the win the rest of the way if his pit crew helped him out. But again, like I said, garbage pit stops, slow stops both times. First stop, he got a slow stop. He lost, I believe he fell down to 3rd on his first stop. And then on the second stop, they dropped him out of the top 5 entirely. And thank goodness there weren't that many cautions, as that long run speed he had allowed for him to get back in contention. Aside from the 2-stage yellows, there was a caution for fluid on the track after Frankie Muniz blew his engine on lap 1. Poor Frankie. And then the other caution happened early in stage 2, caused by a jackwood spin that also collected Akinori Ogata. From there, all there was left was the stage 2 yellow, which Corey Heim won, by the way, and then stage 3 went green the entire way. And Rajah Caruth, after winning the race off pit road on that final stop, he was tasked with holding off Corey Heim and later on Lane Riggs for the 45 to 50 lap green flag run. And I was fully expecting Corey Heim to pass him at some point because Rajah, he had won the race off pit road the previous stage as well on the previous yellow flag pit cycle. But he quickly lost the lead to the 11 as he didn't have the long run speed. But this time, Rajah started opening up a 1-second lead over Heim, and that's where it got real because with how hard it was to pass in this race, a 1-second lead felt bigger than it actually was. Of course, as he approached lap traffic, Heim started reeling him in, but you know what they say, getting to him is one thing, passing is another. And this was around the time Lane had taken 3rd and was quickly catching up to those two as well, so Rajah had his work cut out for him in those last 20 laps, and he just outdrove them. Despite Corey Heim closing in a couple times and making some moves to his outside, the 71 held on, not giving him an inch. Of course, Lane Riggs getting side by side with the 11 afterwards and making some contact there with him. Maybe he did it twice, I don't know. That also helped, gave Rajah some breathing room, but With how close all three of those guys were, he could not afford to make a mistake. And he did not. He kept his foot in it, hit his marks, and when the checker flag flew, it was driver 71 taking the guitar for himself and playing a feel-good melody. And that's not an exaggeration either, because when Rajah Caruth wins, it feels like everyone wins. Even if you're not a fan of the guy, you can't help but feel happy for him. Especially after starting the season with 2 DNFs and having to claw his way back into the playoff cut line with a couple of top 5s and top 10s. But it still felt disappointing because several people, myself included, expected him to look like a title contender and make the jump, and he hadn't shown that yet until now. Just like his first win at Las Vegas last year, he had to earn it, but this one is even more impressive. I don't care about track position giving him the win, or how much cleaner matter, or how the race for the win was decided on pit road. I don't care about none of that. Rajah Caruth had to contend with, in my opinion, the 2 best long run drivers of the season. And he went out and beat them flat out after a long green flag run. He outdrove them. That was a championship caliber-esque drive from Rajah Caruth right there. And again, like the Coca-Cola 600 last week, this was one of those races that felt more enjoyable than it actually was because of the finish and the winner and the storyline that came out from it. Also, shout out to Corey Day, because with all this talk about Rajah Caruth and stuff, I almost forgot about the fact that he finished 5th. And he ran a pretty good race. He ran top 5, I believe, from start to finish. If not, then he was top 5 for most of the race. He even took it to Corey Heim at one point early on, but a really solid race for him. I know the finishes have been really rough for him this season in both trucks and Xfinity, but he was finally able to get a good finish for once, and I really hope this is the start of him managing to string together these consistent runs in the future. Also, Carson Hocevar. I happen to be wearing a Dale Jr. t-shirt as well while watching this race, and I thought it was funny. So yeah, I guess that about does it for this race. Short and sweet, pretty decent, but again, Rajah Caruth winning just really made this race stand out as more than it actually was. Nice tune to start the Music City weekend.